Welcome back, everybody, to a Dealership Fixit. I am joined by host Jacob Berry, and this is Angel Hacker. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day out there in the power sports industry. How are you today, Jacob?
Doing pretty good. How are you doing today, Angel?
I'm doing awesome, man. Doing great.
So what are we talking about today?
Today, I woke up with a little bit of an inspiration of scoreboards. How do we track and measure and manage the goals that we want to hit? How do we develop the scoreboards and the tracking to continue to improve on our performance?
Yeah, I mean, there's many different ways that you can go about that. I think that it's first, the first exercise in this is to identify what part of the dealership that you're looking to build the scoreboard on to track and maybe develop these KPIs, right? These key performance indicators. And so as we were talking there before we started recording, we were talking about maybe some of the BDC stuff. So, this is muscle for me, muscle memory for me. So we do have several in there, but the one that I developed over the years, I like to call the 5x50. And this is more or less just a proactive approach to how you're going to deal with all these phone calls that you got to deal with, right? All these leads, emails, activities that you got to get done to achieve the end result, which is to sell a bike. But let's just go through it real quick. Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. So the 5x50, we call it that because it's 5 main points that you're measuring, all divided into one another. So it's a little bit of easy division math, right? But you start at the top line. And I got a graphic that we can share, in this episode notes. But the first one would be outbound activity, right? A lot of guys, they will look at how many leads and how many they're closing and just kind of wrap it up into a closing rate, right? Leads divided by sold, and that's your closing rate. And although that's true, there's a lot of in between, and that's what this 5x50 does. So regardless of how many leads you've got or received in a given time, like a month or a week or a quarter, I always look at the proactive outbound. And what I mean by that is how many calls an individual or a team or a department is making in that measured time period. So calls, emails, text messages, how many different types of communications that we can outbound proactively make to a given customer, right? Now, from there, we look at our contact rate. And so from all of the outbound activity that we do, how many people are we actually connecting with? And here's a little known statistic is right around 30-40% is our contact rate. But if you look at that, as a glass half empty, that's a 70% voicemail rate, if you will, right? So 70% of the time we do not get a hold of these customers, 30% we do. And I'll touch on that in a minute on how we kind of measure that stuff. But so number one is proactive outbound. Number two is the contact rate. Number three is our appointment setting rate, right? So once we get a hold of the customer and we're going through our little technique exercise or we're doing our word tracks or our guides, how many times are we actually setting an appointment, a hard, solid appointment with a customer with an actual date and time, and they're committing to, yes, I will come into the dealership. Now, from there, it's the easiest two that everybody knows. Once you've set an appointment, it's did they show? And then the last one is did they buy? Now, we call this the 5x50 rule because we just divide one into the other. So if you divide your contacts into your outbound, you should be about half, right? You want to try to aim for that baseline of half of your customers that you call. You are 50% contact rate. From your contact rate to your appointment setting, you want to be about 50%. So your goal is always half the customers that you're talking to or engaging with or setting appointments with should be 50%. So just to run down that list again, outbound proactivity, contact rate, you should be about 50%. From contact to appointment set, you should be about 50%. From set appointments to shown appointments, you should be about 50%. That one's easy to explain because there's only really either or. Once you set an appointment, they either show or they don't, right? There's really no in between. So it's always 50% at that point. And then same goes with the solds, is that once a customer is in your showroom, in your dealership looking to buy a bike, they either buy or they don't, right? So it's 50%. So that's the easiest metric that we can give to just about any power sports dealership. Every operator's worst fear is that we're over communicating. I don't believe that, but I'm a realist, and I want to make sure that the guys who are putting my play into action at their dealership, they're not going to hate it as soon as they look at it, right? So it's more of a, okay, what does the dealer principal think is an appropriate amount? What does the data tell us that is the most engagement? And what is the customer most likely to respond to our messaging with? Now, mind you, the first 3 days are the most intense. So it's, day 1, day 2, day 3, and then it starts to skip in the sequence there a couple different days to where you're not badgering them every single day. And it gives you a little bit of time to breathe, right? As the rep doing the phone call. But, there's 2 phone calls on the first day. There's 2 emails on the first day. There's a text opt-in because we have to have that for compliance, right? On the first day. So, I mean, there's 5 messages technically on the very first day out of that whole sequence. And so you're trying to find that sweet spot of, hey, Mr. Customer, you have our attention. We have what you want. We want to try to deliver this, excellent experience for your next motorcycle purchase, but we don't want to bombard you with just a bunch of junk, right? We want to try to put some valid information within this messaging that says, hey, we're a good business to deal with. And mind you, that's one point that I always used to say, that last comment there, is that not a lot of people think about this, but a lead is a person, right? We always kind of talk about it as, oh, I've got this email notification, or this dinger went off on my CRM saying I got a new lead, but that's a person behind that, right? There's an angel hacker or Jacob Berry out there that submitted that form online. They looked at your inventory, they found whatever marketing you have, they looked at whatever, Instagram post, and they found your website, or they found this lead form where you have your dealership's information posted, and they took the time, 5, 10, 20 seconds to put in their name, to put in their email, and then maybe more, like a phone number and what bike they're interested. And they hit that submit button. There's a human on the other end of that, right? And so, just remembering that there's a person behind that other side of the screen is key. And what you choose to do with that information is up to you, because they've already decided to do business with you. Whatever your listing did to make them make that next engagement, it was priced right, or it was the available inventory, or it was just something in their local area. They've already made that decision to say, okay, I want to take the next step. I submitted my lead. I'm choosing to do business with this dealership. All you have to do as the representative of that dealership is not screw it up at that point, right? You just have to reassure them that, hey, yes, you've made the right decision in choosing me and my dealership and this piece of inventory to buy. I'm not going to screw that up for you, Mr. Customer.
Yeah, I love that reminder and love that perspective of that a lead is just as important, if not more important, than a greet. And getting more and more data and KPIs against leads to the same degree that we do greets is going to be a massive impact on anyone's business, without a doubt.
For sure. For sure. We always looked at it as 2 different things, in store and not in store. But when you think about it, your dealership will typically have multiple sales guys, right? And you need that, right? I call them product specialists, because we really want to train them on the product presentation, the walk around, and maybe some negotiating skills when it's time to do the deal. But how many swings or showroom visits do you get in a month? Maybe a quarter of all your internet leads, of all of your virtual leads. So if you think about it, the big workload is really on everybody else who's not in the dealership at any given time. You may get 1 or 2 showroom ups for the day, or a couple more, depending on what size your dealership is and what kind of brands you carry. You only get a handful of showroom visits that day if people walked into your dealership, but you might get 20 internet leads, or you might get 5 phone calls, or, a couple of chats that day. And when you think about the responsibility of the roles that we've hired for in these dealerships, you've got 5 or 6 sales guys roaming the floor looking for that next up to close, where most dealerships, they have 1 or maybe 1.5 internet guys or business development people that are there to answer 100% of your phone calls and your internet leads, the ratio is a little bit off to me, but that's what we're trying to change.
Yeah, I think it's definitely time. And this has been awesome, Jacob. So a little bit of a recap. You've got your 5x50, you've got your outbounds, and then you have those contacts. How many of them are getting contacted? Splitting each one of those kind of down the line into appointment setting. Cool, you got an appointment set. Then you have your appointments kept. And then out of those appointments kept, how many of those are actually turning into full-blown leads? And that is just a fantastic starting point, or just even a refresher into looking at how you're handling some of your web leads and your outbound outreaches.
That's it right there, Angel.
Yeah. Awesome, man. This has been fantastic, Jacob. I appreciate you giving us all that wonderful insight. For our dealers out there that want more guidance on this, that need more assistance, where can they go to get a hold of you to get some more context to this?
Well, we got a couple resources out there, a couple PDF downloads that I'll include in the show notes here, wherever you're listening to this. Just go to the profile there and we'll have a link for you to explore some different resources for your dealership to use today.
Awesome. So appreciate it, Jacob. I look forward to talking more about these scoreboards and measurements and management so we can increase our overall performance in these dealerships.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Jacob.
Dealers, get ready to accelerate your sales with MotoHunt Marketplace. For a limited time, we're offering a free trial to power sports and motorcycle dealers to showcase your inventory where it matters most. MotoHunt isn't just a platform. With our unparalleled Google-esque search technology, your listings climb to the top of page results, capturing the attention of motivated buyers without the need for a bidding war. We'll send direct, qualified leads straight to your CRM or inbox. Get more visibility on your in-stock units and convert more sales is what MotoHunt Marketplace offers. Your inventory deserves the spotlight, and with MotoHunt, that's exactly where it'll be. Sign up today for free. Visit dealers.motohunt.com/fixit. That's dealers.motohunt.com/fixit. That's FIXIT to claim your free trial today.